Well, I don't know about you, but I've been having a good old time watching the Democrats run for the hills ever since Donald Trump was inaugurated. They're running for the hills. They keep running for the hill. And the question is, if they ever do stop running, what hill are they going to be standing on? Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott. And gentlemen, the Democratic Party is in complete disarray. The latest poll results show that their approval rating now as a party is down around 22% and continues to plummet. Donald Trump's address to the nation got approval ratings that average 76%. That's an insane number in American politics. And for a president as divisive as Donald Trump to get a 76% rating is astonishing. So the big question is this. Now, word on the street is that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat, called together a number of prominent Democratic congresspeople into his office and gave them a sound thrashing. And basically said words to the effect of, you cannot wave a cane at the President of the United States during a speech on the floor of the House of Representatives. And Ms. Crockett, you cannot continue to make these kind of statements and these kind of actions. You're killing us here. You're killing us. Now go away or I shall taunt you a second time. And so the question is, guys, is this. We're also seeing signs. I've seen Democratic spokespeople saying things like, maybe this transgender bathroom thing, maybe that'd be better handled by the states. That's just a full-on retreat. So, Steve, it seems to be dawning on them slowly that they bet the farm on this progressive, far left-wing ideology and convince themselves it's what the American people want. We're starting to see signs that they're beginning to realize that maybe people don't want to buy this whole woke thing and that it's a losing proposition. They keep putting themselves, as I point out in my most recent right angle, on the losing side of that 80-20 pie slice, where Trump backs the 80%. 80% of Americans want secure borders, want energy independence, want secure elections, want cut government spending and waste, want peace in Ukraine and so on. And so they find themselves constantly defending the 20%. But if they're ready to ship away woke identity politics, what have they got left? They certainly no longer have the trust of the blue collar worker that was the bedrock of the Democratic Party as long as there's been a Democratic Party.
Oh yeah, I mean that was it. That's what I grew up with.
Well, since the New Deal, anyway,
that was their brand.
Since the New Deal, at least, yes.
Yeah, and once you soil your brand, it's very hard to either get it back or to reestablish a new brand. But they did reestablish a new brand, particularly under Barack Obama, got rid of all the DLC centrism from the Clinton years and doubled down on racial division and promoting mental health issues as civil rights issues, I believe, in order to just obliterate the entire notion of individual rights. I think this was very much by design. That said, to get more on the point, there have been endless memes showing lefties as NPCs, non-player characters. And for those who don't know what NPCs are, those are the characters, the sort of background characters in video games that have like 3 lines they can choose from.
Yeah, it's the villager who tells you where the key to the castle is, yeah.
Yeah, and the ability to say things is very limited and changes according to the circumstances of the game. And so you get all these memes of the identical lefties all changing their one line from this to that in a heartbeat as political circumstances change and political necessity changes. And what I never expected, though, was to see elected Democrats, the leaders of the party, behaving as NPCs. And that's what we saw at Trump's speech last week, at his congressional address, because they went in with a game plan, a program to keep it in these NPC terms, which is we're not going to applaud for anything. We're not going to stand up for anybody. And Trump called him on it in the beginning of his speech, as I think we talked about last week. And the thing is, just like NPCs, they stuck to the plan, even when it was the cancer kid and the widow and the daughters.
Yeah, and then Rachel Maddow came out and criticized him in the days after. Learned nothing.
Learned absolutely nothing. Well, if there's one thing politicians understand, it's polls. They live and die by the polls. And if they're going to turn around, they're going to have to pay attention to the polls. But this is going to be a painful process. This is going to be something like we saw in 1992. I got to go back to Bill Clinton for this one, because the Democrats were just as lost in the woods under Reagan as they were right now. They may even be more lost now. And it took shedding the old Democratic leadership, and they actually self-shedded. They self-selected out. This was shocking. I don't know if you remember this, but in 1991, all the big names in the Democratic Party looked at George H.W. Bush's approval numbers and said, I'm not going to run against this guy. And besides, as unpopular as H.W. had become, that older crew probably would have lost against Bush, because it was just going to be another Mike Dukakis. It was just going to be another Mondale. It was just going to be another Carter. It was more of the same. Bill Clinton came along and said, I'm going to take a chance. And he cleared the field and he ran as a centrist. He didn't govern as a center left during his first 2 years until he got his ass handed to him in the 94 midterms, and then he drifted back towards the center. And we are going to have to see some similar shedding of the current Democrat leadership for the new leadership to take its place, something more sane. But Bill, the odds are steeper this time, because you look at the old Democrats and it's more of the same. You look at the younger Democrats, you're looking at the AOCs, you're looking at the Jasmine Crockett's, you're looking at doubling down, not just on stupid, but on NPC insanity. They got a hard road ahead, Bill. Yeah, and my black little heart is filled with glee.
As is mine. Yeah, the young Democrats like Crockett and AOC are not only backing obnoxious policies, they're backing obnoxious policies very obnoxiously.
Yes.
Scott, Steve's right. Politicians ultimately fear nothing but the polls. And I'll tell you what should scare the living daylights out of them. It should scare them as much as it surprised and pleased me. Donald Trump's greatest support as a percentage of the population is voters under 40. What do you think about that?
It's certainly shocking. I mean, even if you just take the personality of Donald Trump out of the equation, a 78-year-old man having strong support for those who are, half his age or less.
Reagan did.
That's impressive. The ability to communicate across generations is a skill few of us have mastered, including myself. I still see my kids shaking their heads at me when I say things sometimes. And so, that's phenomenal. But to do it the way Donald Trump has, with his quirky personality, with his very intense policy positions compared to the rather mild dish soap kind of policies of the past, to do all of that, cutting against the grain of political wisdom every step of the way, and to find out that younger people love him for it, that's a very positive aspect for him. It's going to be really difficult for Democrats to get back on the right side of history, as you might call it, if they were really the political operators that they think they are. This would be a lot easier. But the problem is they're not just empty suits who care about nothing but getting elected. They actually believe in a lot of these bad for America policies that they've been endorsing for many years. And so it's really hard for them. They can't just shift gears necessarily as adroitly as Bill Clinton did and, made a deal with Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, the Republican, to pass some spending and tax bills or tax reduction bills. They have to fundamentally change who they are. And I don't think they have the ability to get outside of themselves and see that, in fact, their whole party looks like an NPC who's repeatedly walking up against a wall and bumping into it and walking up against it and bumping into it. They can't see that. They think they're on some great quest for the benefit of mankind, and their head hitting the brick wall time after time is somehow some heroic battle they're engaged in.
I think one of the things that explains Trump's shocking popularity among young people, they shifted 20 points from 2020 to 2024 towards Trump, is that the coin of the realm for young people who grew up with the internet is actually authenticity. Yeah. And that authenticity in their YouTube fans or their Twitch followers or whatever, it's the sense that they are talking to a real person who's talking to them. And not only is Donald Trump about as authentic a person as you can get, there's a lot of things that many people don't like about Donald Trump, but you can't accuse Donald Trump of pandering to the audience and pretending to be somebody he's not. The Democrats, on the other hand, we saw was just a week ago. Was it 27 Democrats all reading from the exact same script? Remember, just before the
Oh, that was creepy.
yeah, well, that is creepy, and young voters pick up on that. The thing that's most interesting about this idea of where the Democrats are going to go is they have branded themselves historically in two different ways. The traditional Democrat brand from the New Deal forward was that we are the party of the little guy, we're the party of the working man, the blue collar guy. During the Biden administration, we were told, no, there's no inflation, and it's just all in your imagination. The economy is the healthiest economy we've ever had, and the fact that you're bleeding money at the grocery store is just you just being stupid. So they've already lost the working man and the family guy with all of the trans athletes and all the rest of it. That demographic is gone. The other thing that's starting to develop for them now is the second demographic that they've tried to corner with, especially since the rise of Barack Obama, is the idea that they're the party of the future. That's what the whole term progressive means, that this is the way society and history is going, and we're going that way, and you can come with us or you can join the Republican dinosaurs. Well, when young people are abandoning you, the traditional, and when I say traditional, I mean the biological reality of politics is that young people vote liberal, and as they get older and wiser, they shift towards conservatism because it takes a while for life to beat the stupid out of you. And if you start out with a younger population that is moving ever more conservative, then history and the future is not on the Democrats' side at all. On the contrary, they're the ones now who are beginning to look not only like dinosaurs. I'm hearing more and more commentators saying that 100 years from now, people are going to look back on the first quarter of the 21st century as one of those times of
mass hysteria, insanity.
But the book Popular Delusions and the Madness of Mass Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. They're going to look at the early quarter of the 21st century as a time when people went nuts, just like they did with the tulip mania in Holland and the dot-com boom, where people believed that men could be women and women could be men just because they said they were. They're gonna look back on these times and all of the politics that the Democrats represent as a form of national insanity. And that is the future that the Democratic Party is facing. So right now they're on the run and they keep running. They're certainly running away from the hills that they were formerly going to defend with their lives. The question is, I don't see any place on the map, on the horizon, where if they keep running, they can stop, regroup, rally, and counterattack. I just don't see what positions they can possibly take that haven't already been occupied by the Make America Great Again crowd. Ain't life grand? For Steve Green and Scott Ott, I'm Bill Whittle. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Right Angle.